I didn't have been last year in Kerma for the problem of coronavirus in my country and in your country. And I hope to be in Sudan next November. During so many years, because I am working in Sudan for 55 years, each season 3 months, and I try to understand the beginning of your history. And in fact, we are sure that your country is at the beginning of the history in all Africa, because when the men are organizing a first complex state like the Black Kingdom of Kerma, it is the beginning of the history. And we have so many data to prove that, and it is what we try to understand more and more. You remember that the Kingdom of Kerma is on both sides of the third cataract. It is around 1,500 kilometers along the Nile. It is a big kingdom with an enormous territory. And when we began to work in Kerma, it was a little difficult because 100 years ago, George Reisner was thinking that this settlement was connected with Egypt and mainly Egyptian. He was thinking that the Defoufa in the middle was the palace of Egyptian governors. Today we know that this Defoufa is the main temple in the center of the city. And we worked 30 years to understand all the remains in this country. And we are sure that this settlement is connected with the capital of Nubia. And step by step, we understood that the town was organized for the commercial purpose between south and north, near the border of the north and the south. And cleaning all the surface of Kerma, it was possible to understand how the city was organized with institutions, and finally we reach to understand the evolution of the architecture. As you can see here, the architecture is connected with the main road north-south in the middle of the city. And we are sure today that this city is influenced by Egypt. Naturally, with so many commercial contacts, it was possible to follow partly the Egyptian architecture. As you can see, all the buildings are square in shape, apart two main constructions, but the influence is clear. And in fact, we found so many seals and print of seals showing the importance of the exchange between south and the north. During the last years, with the help of Saladin Mohammed Ahmed, we decided to go to Dukki. As you can see with this picture, there is a very narrow connection between Kerma and Dukki. And in fact, today we know that two main metropolis, two main towns, was at only 700 meters one from the other. And this Dukki is now studied from 20 years ago, and the discovery are very impressive. As you can see here with this picture, the site of Dukki is enormous. And you can see in the background the Defufa and the site of Kerma. Naturally, there is an enormous work to do, because if Kerma town with the Defufa is connected with Egypt and with the Egyptian architecture, Dukki is completely different, as you can see. And a first city is built with round and oval building, and we have only the surface of this site. In fact, going down step by step, we understood very quickly that till 2 or 3 or 5 meters down, we have remains perfectly preserved. And we ask our Polish friends to do geomorphologic study, and we saw that under the soil, all the buildings are round in shape or oval. And this is naturally completely different than the case in Kerma. That means that just at 700 meters from Kerma, we have another town with completely different routes. For example, we did what we call the stratigraphy. That means a trench going down, and we are actually at a little more than 2 meters deep. And we found each 20 or 30 centimeters new structures. That means that the town have been rebuilt so many times. And it is so impressive to see each 20 or 30 centimeter new building. In this case, we are in the middle of the fortification work around the city. And you can see here the remain of different bastions, military bastions, and period of abandoned with huts in post holes and round in shape. Number 8 is rebuilt, and you can see how enormous this bastion, military bastion of Kerma, of Dukki, with 20 meter by 20 meter. And this bastion is unique. There is no fortification work so big like this one, all along the Nile Valley in Egypt also. That means that we are in a completely different world, and it is what I try to understand today with my colleague. This is the plan of the indigenous town, I will say 3,000, 4,000 years ago. That means a town completely astonishing if you compare it with all what we know of Africa. In red, at 2 meters deep, you can see my bastion, enormous. It shows the dimension of the construction. And you can see the center protected with a wall of 6 meters thick with many entrances. These entrances are organized in 2 towers by huge gate. And in the middle, we found a well, very well preserved, and there is another one to the north. Around this well was preserved a workshop of bronze killing, and this bronze have been done so many all around the central part. We found remains of entrance, monumental entrance with huge hypostyle hole and this oval shape construction connected with the entrance. And we have also palaces and naturally temples. This view shows you the situation with the round building, the oval building. In the upper part, you can see square building. It is temple of the Egyptian colonization. And under, we have all the remains of this oldest city. This shows you how technically we are cleaning big surfaces, and we found like that round temples all around the site. This is one of these temple cleaning, and with the drawing of each brick found. And you can see that this temple is roundly shaped with column inside the main room in the middle. And naturally, it is important because there is no round temple in Egypt, no round temple around the Nile Valley, and we are sure that this extraordinary architecture is unique and still unknown today. Probably in central Sudan, there is many other examples, but it is still unknown. This temple inside is connected with an altar, with a round base, and with a basin for water ceremonies. All around, afterwards, they built towers, as you can see the remains here, and for the military purpose, these towers are used to defend this temple. This is a reconstruction of the temple and this tower all around. You can see this is a completely unknown architecture, and we try to understand step by step and to explain the importance of the patrimony of Sudan. This is the evolution of this temple, as you can see, going from 2000 before Christ till the end of the Meroitic period. The shape of the temple stay round, but there is so many different periods that it is very complex to study. This is another construction, oval in shape, with thousands of columns in mud brick. There is two entrances with doors connected with towers of protection. Inside, you have all this column like a sacred forest, and you have the passage leading to two main seats to the north. That means the throne of kings or maybe chief of war. And this throne are connected with the south countries. We are sure today that the king of Kerma asks the people of central Sudan, probably Kassala, probably Darfur, ask them to come to help to block the army coming from Egypt. And in this case, they are in ceremonial palaces to prepare the war against the Egyptian. This construction is extraordinary, as you can see, and very well preserved, with a huge wall of 4 meters, with buttresses all around, and with this column, foundation founded till 1 meter, till 2 meters, because the column was going up till 12 meters high. And we have the remains of the seat, the royal seat in the middle, with the paved road leading to this seat. Well, this is a reconstruction to see you where we are working to archaeologically to understand better this building. Naturally, with a strong wind coming from the north, the roof must be attached. We have at the beginning of the New Kingdom a new town, but I think that the passage between this period, this or indigenous period till the Egyptian colonization is complicated. And for this reason, the people of Kerma adopted another architecture. As you can see here, there is two different constructions, square in shape. And we found headquarters of the troops coming from the south, probably from Kassala or Darfur, Mal Darb el Arbain. And strangely, in the south of this building, we found enormous seat, enormous throne for the kings and for the chief of war, protected by guards. And in front of them, we have altar for religious purpose. This building is extraordinary and is probably dated to 1500 before Christ, just before the arrival of the Egyptian. And on both sides of this main throne, this main seat, royal seat, we have little rooms with many seats and main throne also. That means that during a period, there is a long discussion between the different people coming from the south to stop the army of Egypt. And a long discussion strategy, army strategy began. But finally, the Egyptian dream to control all the region. And they reach to completely colonize Kerma and the south of Kerma and all the north. They did what we call in Egypt a menenu. That means a little town in this new territory. And this town is built by the Egyptian with, as you can see here, with square building. And in the middle of this town, this menenu, we can see new temple, square in shape. And you can see also to the left a huge monument, the palace of the king, probably of Thutmose I, who is known after the big inscription in Tumbus, and also with different ceremonial palace. And silo to the right, these silo are used for the army in Kerma. And naturally, this enormous door, 4 doors in front of the fortification work. That means that they have special fortification done for Nubia because such a door are Egyptian surely, but they are not known in Egypt. Strangely, all around, and you can see it immediately in the menu, we have round building. It is the oldest temple still flowing, still rebuilt by the Egyptian. That means probably that the Egyptian arriving in this new country don't know the gods and they are afraid about the local gods. This is the reason why they are rebuilding this round construction and unknown in Egypt. This is to give you an idea about how complicated it is to understand the remains of Dukki. All these bricks are drawn by my collaborators, and we try to understand each period one after the other. And this is the reason why we understood that during the Egyptian colonization, the Nubian temple are still reconstructed regularly, and they have fortification all around. To protect the original remain, we are doing each year 200,000 new mud brick, and we are rebuilding partly the remains to show to the public, to the visitors, this extraordinary architecture. As you can see here, we have one temple with buttresses all around because it was vaulted, and another temple and a little palace organized in a little chapel. This shows you the evolution of this architecture to show to our colleagues in Europe and all the world the richness of this architecture unknown today is typical of Africa. Interesting also is to see how the Egyptians are organizing the Menenu. And you can see the main way leading to the palace of the king, leading to the sanctuary of the temples. And in one of these sanctuary, we found an extraordinary stone with the name of Amun of Napata, that's mean of the territory of Nubia, and Amun of Karnak, both in the same temple in the middle. Naturally, all around, we have still this temple of Nubia. To give you an idea of the architecture of the temple during the Egyptian period, we had the opportunity to clean carefully the remains of this temple, and we found a very rich remains. For example, in this little sanctuary, you can see here this square room, and in the middle, this round shape altar. It is to see that also the Egyptians are influenced by this architecture of Nubia. In details, you can see, for example, here that all the mud brick and earth building are reinforced by little pieces of reed to reinforce the earth and to have like that a very strong altar. The main door is done by 3 enormous bastions with, for the measurement, in the part of the center, around columns, but it is not a column. It is only to build the building to help to have an idea of a horizontal situation and vertical situation. The 4th bastion is destroyed by a well of a later period. Inside, the organization of this door is very complex because you have corridors with doors in wood prepared with very strong wood construction and earth construction. That means the soldiers have the possibility to run around the bastions and to defend this kind of fortification. As you can see, it is very impressive, very well done and enormous. This door have been fortified, but they have also inside the possibility to put the main product interesting the Egyptian. That means the gold, ivory, ebony, and incenses. And you can see the technique of construction of this, in this case, small temples, round in shape, connected with local gods. And this temple are still preserved during this Egyptian Menenu period. After the building of the Menenu, the Sudanese and people of the region conquer a new time and destroyed the Menenu of the Egyptian. They built new bastions and they did a new town. And we found in the city of Kerma the remains of a huge grave of one of the last king of Kerma. And this grave is now presented in the village today. The daughter of Thutmose I came again. We have a stela explaining all this war with the Nubian, and Hatshepsut came here and rebuilt completely the town. As you can see, they enforce all the fortification of the two doors, and we have still a reconstruction of the temples, of the round temples. Still, Hatshepsut is afraid by the local gods. Interesting is to see how enormous is becoming the gate, the entrance in the city with this fortification, but also with room, with column to the north, down the picture, and in this room they put the product of the exchange with the south countries. As you can see here, this door is very impressive, and we try to protect it by this part rebuilt construction. And we are doing a study of the architecture because it is connected partly with Egypt and partly with Nubia. You can see here easily how it is easy to understand when we have the indigenous construction, this new architecture still unknown, and the construction done by the Egyptian, in this case by Hatshepsut. It is a ceremonial palace with a very small room with the throne of the king and two different seats and columns of a day. The rebuilding of the Menenu shows that Egyptian came with very good specialists in this case, and you can see the quality is like in Egypt today. This is the king Thutmose IV. Well, the city is rebuilt so many times. And we found, for example, in this case, foundation deposit, very interesting because it is the opportunity to see all in reduced form the object used for the reconstruction of the town. And we have down here the name of Tutmosis IV, who rebuilt the town, and you have his name on this faience plate. We have also the name of the big Akhenaton, who did new construction in Dukki, and we found this pavement done by block of this period when Akhenaton decided to stop completely the cult of all the gods in Egypt and to have only one Aton god. And by chance, many of these blocks were decorated, and we have the name of Akhenaton here down, cut later by when the religion changed again. During the 25th dynasty, that means 700, 600 before Christ, the king of Kerma and Napata are in power in Egypt. They control all the territory of Egypt and the Sudanese territory. And there is a completely change in Dukki with a rebuilding of the town with new extraordinary building. For example, this to the upper part, this row of towers protecting the temple and the north of the town. We found this extraordinary remains of a temple absolutely unknown in Sudan and Egypt, connected probably with Taharqa. And in this case, Taharqa is following a long evolution, archaeological evolution, with at the beginning this little round temple, probably vaulted, and after that, during the New Kingdom, this square temple with an apse to the north, and later to the 25th dynasty with this enormous building with columns. And you can see here the evolution, and at the end, the systematic destruction of the last monument, a new time by an Egyptian expedition. We work 20 kilometers to the south in Tabo. It was 40 years ago, 45 years ago, and I had the opportunity to dig this huge temple of Taharqa. And you can see the remains still today in Tabo, where the people want to protect this remain and ask me to come to see the situation. Interesting is to see that we have 3 temples with the same plan. One in Tabo, one in Kawa, 40 kilometers to the south, and one in Sanam near Jebel Bakr. And we can see that a text of Taharqa explains that he asked when he was Pharaoh, Black Pharaoh of Egypt, he asked people, architect, specialists, to come and to build Egyptian building to show the importance in Egypt in Sudan, and he asked his people to do this temple, and they are still preserved. But in Dukki, he rebuilt the oldest temple, original, and he did a chapel to the south, very well decorated, and we have many blocks of this chapel. Interesting is between these two temples of Taharqa, we have what we call Castle of Gold. In fact, it is the place where we are preparing new statues, and there is a workshop for bronze scaling. And to the north of this part, we found three huge wells, and one with the cache of Dukki, with these extraordinary statues of 593 before Christ. In this case, it is the Napatan king Ornamani with the horn of the god Ammon. And as you can see, they are still the crown of Egypt, and they are thinking they are still leading Egypt, but it is no more the case. And it is in the new kingdom of Napata between 700 before Christ till 300. This beautiful statue of Taharqa is very well preserved, and you can see immediately that some part of the granite stone is not worked like the other. For example, the crown is picked by the sculptor, and we found all around the statue in the cache traces of tissue. On this tissue are a little level of gyps, and at the surface of the gyps, gold leaves. We found many gold leaves during the dig. This is the presentation of this statue in the actual site museum in Kerma. They are very well organized, and they will stay there. Your government asked me to take this statue away in England or in France recently. I refuse, because I think that these statues are so well preserved that they must stay at the same place. But by chance, the Louvre will do an exhibition next year in 22 on the Napatan kings, and they will do a 3D reconstruction of the statue, and this naturally we agree, and you will have the opportunity to go to Paris and to see the statue of Dukki rebuilt in the Louvre Museum. Well, during this period also, there is an evolution of the architecture, and very well preserved. And we understood that the round shape is still following during the latest period. And we had the opportunity to study a strange construction in wood. As you can see on this plan, double post holes are used to do the interior of the building in wood. And we study the passage and the ceremonies inside this building, and it is naturally completely strange to see this kind of construction with doors inside and with the passage in front of this door, and a kind of ceremony leading to the sanctuary. This gives you an idea about the elevation work. naturally you can understand that it is an enormous work. And all the surface ask years and years of cleaning and drawings if we want to understand really the architecture. But you have to think that here down, we have many temples before. That means that during generation, Sudanese archaeologists will have work to follow the study of Dukki. At least we have 3.5 and 4 meter remains, and each 20 or 30 centimeter, we have new feature, new construction, new plan of this, in this case, of this plan, of these temples. An idea of some object found in Dukki, we have the remains of a workshop of faience object to place them on the wall. Or this is to for it is an amulet by people. Very beautiful work done in this workshop. Here you have to the right example of molds, and to the left example of realization. A little lion in bronze, very well preserved, a foundation deposit under the temple of Taharqa. During the Meroitic period, that's mean after 300 before Christ till 300 after Christ, we have new buildings, new construction, and all the monuments are rebuilt. One is extraordinary. It is done on round temple at the surface, and it is connected with banquets where people was sit and in front of altar with this little round foundation. And we have the columns of the upper part of the roof. And we have the proof that congregation was organizing cult for a group of people. And we have the same example in Egypt during this period. It is protected by towers around. At the same period, round temple and square building for this group of people. Well, I hope to have the opportunity to see you in the Museum of Kerma. This beautiful museum with the statue is for you. And actually 20,000 people each year are coming from all the Sudan. And I am very happy that you have this opportunity to see the importance of your patrimony and to see how rich was the region of Kerma. Well, I am a very old man today, but it is a beginning. I think that for the next generation, it will be an opportunity to see the past of the Sudan and to see the importance of this past and the quality of this past with the help of women from Kerma. Thank you very much indeed, my good friends. Naturally, I'm ready if you have some questions.